He was then also requested to take them to the house and was questioned about the security personnel responsible for the protection of Phahlane. Mr. O'Sullivan questioned the witness about the following security details of the Phahlane, to wit, how many protectors are deployed at the house, whether the protectors are static or mobile, what firearms are they carrying, and how many vehicles are they utilizing. In respect of number 5, witness 5, he deposed to an affidavit that the said Mr. O'Sullivan had a registered firearm on his name, a CZ 9mm pistol with serial number so and so. Now, it may be a question, if it does interest, how will he be issued with a firearm while he has got a criminal record? Secondly, why was his criminal record never recorded on the systems of SAPS? Because there is a criminal case where it's a gender-based violence assault of his wife or something like that, which he paid even, an admission of guilt or a fine. How will such a case not find itself on the records and the same person has got a licensed firearm?
Honorable Norval.
No, apologies, General, for interrupting you. So, when do you become aware about this, about the news that these guys are in your complex? At what stage? Were you there? Were you inside the complex?
I was, Honorable Chair, I was not at home. I was in office. And that's why this happens. Remember, somewhere I speak about me being in attendance at the strategic session in Limpopo. So I think it was the 14th, it started the 14th of November, 2016.
So when do you become aware? While they were still there, or when you arrived, the security told you that there are guys who were here looking for you?
I only got to know after, because the estate, not the estate manager, the builder called me. And I remember we were doing the launch of a festive season. I was in Komhlanga that day on my way to the strategic session, which was taking place from the 15th. So then the builder calls me and say, there were these people. And he had also called my driver, Alvin Dupree, to say, but there were these people, this is what they were doing. That is, he called me in the morning and he called me late. And I spoke about, and the estate manager responded in the manner that is reflected in my affidavit, confirming that yes, they were there. So I knew immediately on the day that they were there, and progressively, as they were there, for example, they would have went to the Sinoville, where the builder of my house, his wife was doing business there at the crèche.
So the intention was to search your property?
Not at that stage.
Not at that stage?
No, they were not searching.
Because I wanted to establish if maybe the case, your response was the opposite, if they had a search warrant. No, on that occasion, I don't know of any search warrant. My understanding was that it was the so-called investigation which they were busy with. That is why even when I text McBride and when I engage him the day that I came back from the strategic session with this meeting that was arranged by So they ended by the gate. They did not proceed to your house.
They went to the house.
They went to the house, and there was no one inside the house.
Pictures of my house were taken.
So the house was locked. There was no one inside.
No, there were people.
Did they get inside?
No, not on that occasion.
Okay.
Not on that occasion. In actual fact,
Thank you.
where's my book?
Honorable Ngola.
Thank you very much. I think I missed the general a little bit. Who is the person who assaulted the wife and paid a fine of guilt?
Paul O'Sullivan. the
Paul
owner.
O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
But in the records, the criminal record register, there is no criminal record against him.
I happen to be the Divisional Commissioner for Forensic Services. Criminal records are housed in the Criminal Record Center,
Yes.
which I am a custodian at the time. And
Yes.
they never reflected that he had the criminal record.
So did you pick up if whether it was registered and removed or it was never registered at all? You remember the issue of KwaZulu-Natal of Gerald Mkhwanazi and the other police official giving the nation details about criminal records being removed from the register?
Honorable Member, I only got to know about that criminal case much later. I was already not in the system.
Okay.
And then, like you know, I've stepped aside.
Okay.
And I do not interfere with police records.
They come to your house, they ask you about cars, they take photos of your houses, they ask about your security detail, they ask about the ammunitions they carry, the firearms they carry. Did you not consider that a security breach that needs a serious security assessment by SSA?
Chair, that's why crime intelligence arrived at that conclusion that there is a threat against my life and that of my family. And it is on that basis that the acting divisional commissioner requested investigation capacity. And it is that precisely which General Mabula and his team were investigating. And it is following that investigation that they were arrested. Paul O'Sullivan, Sergeant Trent, Temani Binang, and the late Mandla Mashango. Later, because as the investigation progressed, that's when it became evident that there is a Phahlane task team. And McBride was added on that case, as well as one of the IPIT members, who also, by the way, is currently at, IDEC, Rapesu. He was added.
So this is the second official that is at IDEC?
Yes.
Okay.
So they were added onto that case. Strangely, that case was struck off the roll at a point where McBride was added. And the reasoning behind the adding, the struck off the roll was, don't add people now. Go and obtain what? A racketeering certificate. That's the impression that was created, that there is a racketeering certificate that was what was going to be obtained. And that's where on the council will talk later, I know, about Judge Tuchten's judgment. Because that judgment, McBride and them went to court and they were alleging that there is counter-investigation. And that's when General Mabula and his team were removed from the investigation against who? Paul O'Sullivan, McBride, and everyone. And that case stalled because somewhere it was given to a lieutenant general who left. It was given to a major general who is currently an acting divisional commissioner. But that case is never placed back on the roll. That's why I hear from the chairperson whatever they have communicated. But that is the case.
Chair. Thank you very much.
If it's a big issue for me, and because of the significance of F, that's why I spent a lot of time to deal with those allegations that I have already comprehensively dealt with in Parliament. And unfortunately, they were just growing. Now, In the affidavit, as I was going through of Nkabinde, you look at page 7 to 8. 412. Nkabinde say, the extreme measures and means employed in bringing Lieutenant General Phahlane down was that IPIT will be to obtain information unlawfully and formalize it later. Should there be any personal information required, it will be given to Paul O'Sullivan's assistant, Sarah Jane Trent, who will obtain the information unlawfully from her contact in TransUnion without following the processes. Now, I also, a lot has been said about me. There is a book by Paul O'Sullivan, Stop Me If You Can. Now, I'm just going to make reference to some parts of this book. In page 283, it will make it clear that when we talk about the capture of the criminal justice system and the control that Paul O'Sullivan wielded, is not only with the IPIT, but in subs as well as within the NPA. He's got obviously a well-decorated group within IDEC. General Mkhwanazi termed them the rogue unit. And I've got no reason not to agree with General Mkhwanazi. And I, somewhere in my statement, when I was interviewed, I said that rogue unit is led by Matthew Sissoko within the environment. Now, in Paul O'Sullivan's book, it's page 283. Just to show, you will see there is a picture. I know it's very far. Now, in this picture, it's him, Paul O'Sullivan. In the middle is an officer, a police officer in the Czech Republic, Prague. Next to him is, he was a colonel then, Brigadier Kininda, who's currently in the office of the National Commissioner heading the so-called cold case, cold case unit, the lead investigator in the Senzo Meyiwa case. That's him. But why am I bringing this to your attention? And that's not me who's writing, it's Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. In a complaint, Kotsia laid out her evidence against Mono by describing the strange decisions Mono made on the Krecha case while still the head of detectives. She described an overseas trip planned by Major General Daiwe, Lieutenant Colonel Gininda, and Advocate Kaba of the NPA to meet with Jacob Nari. Remember I mentioned Jacob Nari, who was taken to London as a witness, allegedly. He's a 204 protection. So they are now going there to meet with Jacob Nari, the section 204, who was then based in London. The team also made an application to visit Prague in the Czech Republic after the London meeting to meet with a witness I believe was important to the Krecha cases. Mono denied the application for Prague leg of the trip. Now, firstly, Mono happens to be a Lieutenant General, the Divisional Commissioner responsible for detectives. So if you want to know, he doesn't have authority to approve trips. He will recommend that the team of detectives is going there. His actions were deliberately detrimental to the case against Krecha, whom I believe he was trying to protect, and a prime example of the length he will go to in allegedly defeating the ends of justice. Now, This is important. I paid for Kininda and Kaba trip to Prague, where I met with them and introduced them to the police there. During this time, Kotsie was in contact with an informer who told her that I will be murdered in a subsequent trip to Prague. She relayed this information to Colonel Kininda, who told her to draft an official letter addressed to me to warn me of the threat. Now, it's been concocted there. Kininda must write an official letter. She was then to forward the email to him, to Kininda, and he will sign it and send it to me from his office email address. Remember, he's there in Prague. Obviously, he's got the access to his email and so on. Kotsi alerted me to the threat in an SMS and then blind carbon copied the letter to me, assuming it to be the final signed letter. I sent it to Prague requesting police protection while there. He was asking protection to come here to this committee. The authorities there contacted Interpol and got through to Munu. Munu denied the existence of the threat and told Colonel Kininda not to send the final signed letter. So that's the extent. Remember, this person, Nari, is a 204 witness. Where is the declaration of him paying the trip from London to Prague and back to London? Here, management knows of Kininda and Taiwe and the advocate Gaba having went to London. They don't know about the Prague trip. And in here, it is clear also from his thing that they knew that the Prague leg of the trip was not sanctioned. It happened. So, in this book, the famous Phahlane house is here. This, I think, was it one of the members, I forget. What did he do when he came to my house? And I think General Mkhwanazi, during his testimony, I can't remember whether it was here, he said he was surprised that years after my house was built, he has my house pictures from foundation as it progressed. He has those pictures, but here it is. There is something which I wanted. It's on page 17. Now, unfortunately, it also goes to what we refer to the media, third estate or fourth estate. Fourth estate refers to the fourth estate. When my family was safe, that's now O'Sullivan, I decided to ramp up the heat on Selebi. I decided to rain Selebi's 2007 Christmas by setting up an elaborate hoax. I contacted one of Selebi's police colleagues who did not like Selebi and told them that the DSO will be arresting Selebi at his home early the following morning. I also tipped off a few journalists. It was the only time I ever planted false data in the media. I received calls from two separate journalists asking me if I knew anything about an arrest warrant for Jackie Selebi. Of course, I knew one had been issued, but after the unlawful suspension of then National Director of Public Prosecutions, Vusi Bikoli, steps had been taken to cancel it. I told the journalist that I had also heard that something would happen early the next day at his house in Pretoria and that he will appear in court soon. The results were far better than I could have hoped for. That morning, at least 20 journalists were gathered outside Selebi's house and the police headquarters. with their long lenses hoping for a shot of Selebi being taken away in handcuffs. It had a tremendous effect. The crooked chief of police must have felt so exposed while he was wrung his hands with worry, wondering whether or not his arrest was imminent. May Commissioner Levy's soul rest in peace. This comes in O'Sullivan's book. You have got a dedicated chapter, Phahlane, there it is. So, Honorable Chair, I did not come here solely to respond to what the issues that Nkabinde was raising.